They just want you to sit in your chair and go, hip hip hooray, for the Western press and the Western narrative, regurgitating the same old, every single day, without exception. Please watch the first series, the first 2 episodes, the second series. Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Most doing this, honestly. Don't know what it is. I don't think I can get myself big. No, can't get myself big. Yeah, I can't. This is absolutely ridiculous. Honest to God, I'm sorry about this. Okay, now. Come on. Oh dear. Don't know where I am with this, honest to God. That's better. There I am. Yeah, better. Jesus. I'm having problems all the time, unfortunately. I'm going to make this my last, no, I'm not, Friday is my last ever broadcast. I'm just so fed up. Nothing's gone right for me. So make the most of the history tonight of literature. Make the most of Friday because I've finished. I really need a break. I really do. And I know that you're all nice people. I really do. I really admire them. I'm just so fed up. Nothing goes right for me. That's all. Doesn't. But I just wanted to thank these people, wonderful people, Gap Painting Services. You know, these people are fully time served, fully insured, and they sponsor the Frank Carlyle show. That they're these paintings, Gap Painting Services, are first class. The first class lads, they come in, do the work, everything. And you can even get a price off them without any obligation. Just phone them up. Just go. Just phone them up. And they'll be down. Give you the price without any obligation. And they're very reasonable. You'll be quite surprised what they charge. The proper decorators, as I said, they're not cowboys. We've all had enough of cowboys in the past. All these arseholes coming into your home trying to do a job and they fuck everything up. So, get these lads in. And if you're old, if you're an elderly couple, you get special discounts. If you're an NHS worker, you get special discounts. Don't be struggling. I keep saying this every single week. Don't struggle. Get them in. You know, they could be awkward like pieces of furniture or whatever. They move it. Then they put it back. This is what they're like. They just don't go into empty houses, obviously. They do, but if your house is full of furniture, they move it. And they don't get anything coming. Honestly. This is what they're like. I've had them in. No, they didn't even know me. I didn't know them. And I brought them in, and they've done a fantastic job. Very reasonable. Very reasonable. And, ages later, they got in touch with me. And were like that, listen, especially Andy Gamble, the main man of Gap Painting Services. He said, listen, I'd like to sponsor you. And that's how I got to know them. And they're the sponsors of all the podcast that I do. Gap Painting Services. As I said, get them in. Don't struggle. First class, fully time served, fully time. I'm fully insured, these lads. Every one of them. In and out. Leave your house in pristine condition. And the way you want it decorated as well. And I've got no comments up. No one's come on and said, "Hiya, Frank, you all right?" No. Not one. But anyway, I've got my old mate with me, the great artist, to talk about some of the great, honestly, they are the great, great visionary literature people. Visionary. And we'll be talking all about them. Really. And Barnaby Rudge, there is Barnaby. Men at some time are the mystery of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. What a quote. What a quote. We aren't the masters of our fate. Anthony and myself, we have private conversation. We just phone each other up and we just chat to one another. And we talk about different things, different aspects of life. And the only way that we can master ourselves is by going down the right path. Because lots of people go down the wrong path. It could be in anything. It could be a marriage, if you like. It could be in education. It could be in professionalism. But then again, it could go down a path to destruction. So we are really the masters of our own fate. However, what Barnaby Rudge has said, it's the people behind you who are the masters of your fate. Meaning governments. People who are in power. You know, you're getting that Rachel Reeves, whatever the bloody name is. And I remember a few years ago, it was only a few years ago, it was only, within the last, I don't think it was even 5 years ago. And I always remember this fella, a young Tory in his 20s, mid-20s, never forget him, this fella. A little chubby fella, standing there and said, pensioners must pay for themselves now. They must pay taxes. They must contribute to society. We're all paying taxes. They have to do that. You know, these people, these private school educated public school boys haven't a clue. And he came out and said that the likes of pensioners should pay a tax into society. You know, not thinking that these people have worked all their bloody lives. Most pensioners are from a working class background. And they've worked and they're in the twilight of of their career, or sorry, of their lives. And he came out and said that. Now you've got Rachel Reeves saying it. You've only got to think about it. You only have to think about that. And this is, as Barnaby said, men at some time are the masters of their fates. And as it says there, the fault here, Brutus, obviously it comes from Julius Caesar, Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. And the likes of Julius Caesar, who was the very first dictator, actually, your fate lies in their hands, just like our fate lies in these governments who we voted for. They're all liars. They all tell you what you want to hear, and as soon as they get in, it's total opposite. I'm sorry to go on. It's just like what Barnaby said there, the quote. But as I said, our own fate, if we go down the right path, we're okay. But unfortunately, someone behind us is guiding where you should really go and what you should really be doing. Sorry about that. Sorry to go on. We'll see what you're being saying. Thanks for the opening comment there, Barnaby. Lovely little Irene Evans. Evening, Frank. Evening, Irene. Sorry, I've gone right down. And Johan, our good friends, Johan. Good evening, Frank and legends. Hope everyone is well. I think they're all well, to be honest. They really are. And Irene, evening, Frank. Again, evening, Irene. Bella. Buonasera, Franco and Anthony. Hope you are all well. Yes. And Bella carries on by saying, hello, everyone. Hope you're all well. Yes. The mince pie man himself. Hello, Francis. Hope all's well, mate. Thank you. Tony, yes. The 1st of October today, Tony. Not long now for the mince pies. They're letting on to one another, which is nice. I like that, I like that because you're a family. Everybody. That's lovely. Thank you for acknowledging everybody. And Toscana. Buonasera, Franco, Anthony, and chatters. Hope you're all in fine fettle. Yes. And Tony, the mince pie man, laughs. If you've never heard what happens, I said on here one day, honestly, just one day, one evening it was. And I said, went to Sainsbury's and got myself some mince pies. Because I love mince pies. And one day, Christmas week, my doorbell went, ding dong. And I opened the door, and it was him, Tony, with his lovely wife. He had the biggest tray I've ever seen, full of big mince pies, that big. And honestly, I had to freeze loads of them. And I was eating them at Easter. That's our Tony for you. Wonderful stuff. And George said, hello, Frank. Sorry to have been absent for a while, but I've been suffering badly for a week with a bad cold and chest infection on the men now, thankfully. Do you know that a cold's only lasts 3 days? But what it is, it's coming on you for days, and you're going, oh, I feel lousy. Then the actual cold itself lasts 3 days, and it's horrible. Then as it's leaving you, it lasts more. So you think that it's lasted a week or whatever, and you know it's 2 weeks before you finally got rid of it. And don't forget, sneezing is good because it's getting rid of the little germlines that your body is trying to get rid of. See what I mean? So, they're just mad, absolutely mad. You know, these colds. I've got to go and get a flu jab. Got a message today. But I never got a message today. I got it the other day. Was it yesterday or the day before? Listen, you'll have to come for your flu jab. Okay. And I do get it actually because I used to suffer from colds every Christmas. And I started getting the flu jab. And I was all right at Christmas. Thing is, I can't get out to it, enjoy it. Can't get out. Still waiting. Priority. And Tony says, I'm away at the weekend, Frank, for 5 days, Portugal. Albufeira, I suppose you're going. Lovely there. Beautiful. The weather's still great there. I remember there being there, and it was Christmas. Not Albufeira. I went to Porto. I was in Porto. I had to go over there for a few days. And Christmas week it was. And it was dead hot. Dead hot. Honestly. And I went with a big coat. I said, I'll bring that, I was only going for a few days. God, blimey, couldn't wear it. The lovely ambidextrous. Evening, Ambi. Evening. And good evening, everyone. See, we're letting on to one another. And Tony says, I'm not going there. I'm going to Villamora where it's dead posh. Because I've got loads of money to spend on my one. Villamora. Anyway, I'm going to bring this. He's a terrible moaner, You know, when I said that we have a private conversation. It's nothing but moan about everything. He grows cabbages in his garden. And he said, listen, Frank, do you fancy a few cabbages? And I went, yeah, all right. Because, when I was growing up, my grandmother always did this cabbage. And she used to make me drink cabbage water. She said, it's good for you. But I used to enjoy it, by the way. Anyway, he said, do you want loads of cabbages? And I said, yeah. 15 cabbages he brought me. And you should have seen the weight of them. It was incredible. He got my neighbours to carry them up because he can't carry them. And I can't carry them. And they're all here in the cupboard. 15 cabbages. You know, them big heavy things, not the little, the light ones that you're all right with, them greeny ones, that full of. These are the hard ones, that go round. They're like balls, they are. Big balls. Dead heavy. So anyway, I've got them. And I'm going to bring him in now. And there he is. Don't tell him I told you that he's a moaner. Okay. There's the man himself. A lovely, great friend of mine. Love him to death. Evening, Anthony.
I couldn't find them cabbages. It's pitch black out there. Jeez.
I think your Tom stole them from me.
Just put them on.
He must have got fed up with all the cabbages in the year back, and he said, "Oh, did you want some cabbages?"
If you line them all up against the wall, get a few dogs to weigh on them. They will grow up to be fine politicians, them cabbages.
Oh,
I
yes,
read my case, Your Honour.
yes, yes. I think you've got the analogy spot on there. If you get the dogs to pee on the, because that's what they are. They're the cabbage patch people, aren't they? The politicians.
Yes,
That's what they are.
yes.
Horrible. Tony says, "Hello, Mr. Brown. Hope you're keeping yourself busy with your brush." There, look at that.
Uh, Thank you, Tone. I am doing my best to keep myself busy, but he's had me out in the garden looking for cabbages. Yeah, I am. And I hope you really enjoy your Portugal holiday. That'd be great. Bring a bit of sunshine back because I can't get used to summer's gone and we're into overcoats again.
Yes, yes, absolutely. This is why I've got pullovers on now. Know what I mean? To try and keep warm in here.
Absolutely.
And Johan says, "Good evening, international artist stroke organic farmer." Mr. Brown.
Good evening, Mr. Kindness, Johan. I hope you're on the knighthood list this year.
And George says, "Superb, Anthony, Mr. Dickens." Now, I was going to say, I wasn't going to say anything really. I was going to say, if you want to say what you're actually, because you have showed me, haven't you, what you're painting.
You're the only one who's seen it outside of tonight. Had you seen it and then said, that's a bit rough, that, it looks like one of your cabbages, then I'd have covered it up tonight. But thank you, George. And believe me, we've missed you. I hope you're fighting fit now.
That's nice, that, Anthony, to say that.
Yeah.
Because we do miss people, don't we, when they go missing?
We do miss them. Yeah, we do miss them. And,
So what do you think? What do you think? We were talking about these visionaries. It's like the very first quote from Barnaby Rudge there, about the masters.
Yeah.
You're the masters of your own fate. Point is, it's just like what I keep referring to this, and it's what Shakespeare said, and it just doesn't apply to during the Shakespearean period. Yeah. It doesn't just apply then; it applies right through the centuries, right up to today.
Definitely.
When he said, what a terrible era we live in, as idiots govern the blind, and they are idiots, and we are the blind. But the unfortunate thing, what he was talking about really then was that no one could say anything.
Yeah.
But now we can. But now, where we can say something, we could go to jail for it.
Yeah.
That's control. Everything is controlled. Going back to Shakespeare's time, everything is controlled. And that's the masters who's controlling you, me, the chatters, everybody. That's what I mean about, the masters of our fate.
Yeah. We talked about that the other night, and we're not excluding any of our family here on our conversations, but it's that thing of, and you said it yourself, we kind of choose which path we go down. You can take the easiest route, which is not the nicest or decent route, or you can stand up for what you believe in, try and be as nice as the world will allow you to be, and then forage on. Which what we never had a game plan. You and I'm talking about, and I'm sure many of our, we didn't have a game plan where we're going. Well, by the time I'm 40, I want to do that. By the time I'm 50, I'm going to have that. By the time I'm 60, I'm going to have defo have that. We, we, we lived life amongst some really, really, really wonderful people, inspiring people. And we met some bad ones along the way, but they're not of any importance.
Yeah, it just shows you, doesn't it? You know, like the likes of any sort of literature, and paths. You've only got to look at Dickens and his path.
Yeah.
And Dickens says what he had to go through because his dad was a spendthrift, and he went to a debtor's prison, and they had to pay, the debtors before they could be let out. Debtors' prisons were awful,
Yeah.
Debtors, but the wealthy of debtors, the wealthy, they had a comfortable life in a cell because they had like people looking after them, like maids. Believe it or not, maids and butlers and whatever, because the law knew that they would pay their debt off.
Yeah.
It's like what I was talking about the other night when I said about Shylock and Antonio, the Merchant of Venice.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when they went to prison, it wasn't the likes of Dickens at a hard time.
Yeah.
Because when his family went to jail, he had to pay. He had to pay the debt that his dad owed.
Yeah.
So he went out to work in a blackening factory.
Yeah.
A blackening factory.
Yeah.
And through his life, until the debt was paid, through his life, he washed his hands 30 times a day because what he could see on his hands was that blackening. He never ever got it out of his mind. The blackening on his hands 30 times a day, every day until his death in 1870.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Do you know what, Frank? I've done a lot of incidental reading about him over the past few weeks, and certainly with wanting to get an image of him right. And I asked a simple question of the universe. What colour clothes did he wear? And it opens up a million and one doors. But apparently, even at that time, when he worked at the factory and he was in debtor's prison, he would wear as flamboyant a set of clothes as he could. And I loved that kind of logic.
I think we'd have to explain what the blackening was. And if you're old enough, I'm sorry about this, people, but if you're old enough, what the blackening was, if you ever remember, like going to your grandmother's or whatever, and you seen like one of those fireplaces that were already put in, and they were all black. Everything was black, with even an oven in and a fire grate, and all these things on, and they would blacken it, and you used to polish them with this blackening stuff, and that was blackening for everything. It was used for everything, and that's what Dickens worked in until the debt was paid.
Yeah.
And Faster Tortoise says, "All right, everyone, I can't get the sound on." Oh, you missed it, the very opening then, because
we were all singing.
Yeah, we were singing because Donald Trump phoned us up. Jason, the producer, he put us through. Put Donald Trump through. And he's just saying, don't be worrying about Starmer. He's a good man, along with Tony Blair, is a very, very good man. And he's going to take care of Gaza. But that's for Friday. And I said, all right, Donald. I said, we'll be talking about that on the Friday show. So you just missed that phone call, unfortunately, faster tortoise. Oh, Tony Mac. Love this, Frank and Anthony. Tony, hope you're all well. Tony, he's a great fella, him.
Yeah,
Tony, do you know Tony?
yeah,
Ah, what a man.
yeah. Good
Just a
evening.
lovely man. Lovely family. Lovely family. Faster says, sorted. So we can hear us now.
Nice one.
I can't hear you. And George Seth says, Frank, I learned today how inspired Shakespeare was with his childhood by the Greek classics like Homer, which inspired characters and plays in his future career. Excellent.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
in part, George, why we love tonight's history of literature is because every one of us is inspired by something, whatever you do in life, whether it's how you dress, um, whatever. But it's wonderful because you think these titans, these massive, brilliant talents, Shakespeare and Dickens and them, are like isolated and stand alone, but they all get it or get the need to do something from someone else, and it goes way back again. Frank's the one with ancient Rome, with the classics and the scriptures and the philosophy. It
You
doesn't,
see, the likes of what George said there. I had to read the classics when I was at college.
yeah,
And this fella didn't half inspire me. And he was only there 3 weeks. Because we had this lecturer. And he came here, he was so bland. So bland. And I like the classics, actually. Well, you know that. And anyway, he must have went off ill. I think he did. And this fella came in. This fella came in. He wasn't big, he wasn't, stature or anything. He was a small man. And he didn't half inspire me, and he was brilliant. And we were doing the Iliad, Homer's Iliad. And, the way he was putting it over
yeah,
and putting all the symbolism in, all the imagery in. He was absolutely brilliant. And then he was only there 3 weeks. Then we had the bland fella again. And but he inspired me for that 3 weeks. He inspired me.
yeah.
He inspired me.
That's what you've been doing to me for the past couple of years.
Oh, get out of it!
No, absolutely. I go. You know what? I love to learn anyway, whatever way. But I never learned how to be a plumber or a joiner or a car mechanic, any of that useful stuff. But I love that little bit of knowledge that you didn't know before. You find it, you read it, you think, wow.
Well, you do, because remember the other night someone said something, and I said, never knew that. And you said, I never knew that. And I said, didn't I? We learn something new every day.
Yeah,
And we do.
we
No
do.
matter what's said.
We do.
It's like what Barnaby says. I love Marcus Aurelius. Dig deep within yourself. For there is a fountain of goodness ever ready to flow if you will keep digging. Isn't that brilliant? That's Marcus Aurelius. Though.
That's absolutely brilliant. And thank
I,
you. But
I'm
yeah.
sorry, go on, Anthony.
No, I was going to say that kind of rounds up what we've been talking about since you got on tonight, since I joined you. Yeah.
You know, because, see, in London Road, as you know, there's a statue,
Yeah.
and it's an exact replica of the Marcus Aurelius statue on a horse in Rome.
Yeah.
But it's got the head, the one on London Road, of George III. And that's the way he wanted it, George III. And he
Yeah.
got this fella named George Westmacott, a great Liverpool sculptor. And it's the same George Westmacott who did the Nelson monument and exchange flags. Now, there was a myth surrounding that particular statue in London Road because people, it was just a stupid mythical legend, urban legend. And it's, like St. George's is always built back to front. Well,
Yeah.
this particular statue, stupid it was. This particular statue, what they were saying was that the sculptor committed suicide because he forgot to put stirrups on the horse. Right. Now, as you know, the Romans were, people who rode, especially the cavalry, these legions, the cavalry legions, they were great horsemen.
Yeah.
And they never had stirrups in those days. They did not have stirrups in those days. So, that was a myth because George Westmacott died aged 82 of natural causes. So you see how myths perpetuate.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that. There's lots of myths around in Liverpool, as you know.
That's a great it's a great problem with literature, and it always has been. That if you get someone who writes the first book and it's full of inconsistencies and downright lies, then the next one will copy and paste. For centuries, no one did do that. And then till someone actually puts the work in, the hours in, said, no, that wasn't the case.
No. And Barnaby finishes by saying, if I was you, I'd certainly reflect what you have before giving it all up. Because I did say, Anthony knows, look, even Tony Mac, I can't move. I've got no quality of life. I've got no quality, and it gets to me. It gets to me because every day I reflect, I go back, and Anthony knows how energetic I was. I was everywhere. I was all over the place. I've missed out on so much. I've missed out. I wanted to go away this year, and I couldn't go away. I wanted to go to Italy. I always go to Italy, as you know, Anthony, and I couldn't go because I can't. I can't move. I can't drive anymore because my license was revoked. Simply, I said that once to someone. He said, "Oh, was you drunk driving? Did you have an accident?" I said, "No." I said, "I broke my neck." I said, "And it's restricted me movement." I said, "But I'm waiting for physio." And I can't get the physio because where I was there in line, I've been put back because these now are the priority. And what's that doing for me? It depresses me. And that's the way it is, Barnaby, unfortunately. With me. And when you see, we were talking about visionaries, and the visionaries of literature, it doesn't just stem from Dickens, Shakespeare, it goes right up to the 19th century literature. And I've been telling people, asking people, not telling them, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used that terminology, telling. I've been asking people to look up Aurora Leigh by Elizabeth Barrett Browning and just read that poem. Just read it. Because, well, Aurora Leigh, I'm not going to tell you about the poem, just read it yourself. And it was what was happening in this country. What was happening? Because kids, the likes of little kids running around, they weren't educated. And they weren't getting educated. And it wasn't until 1870 and the Forster Act. But it wasn't compulsory, to put children into school. And then you go to 1880 with the Mandela Act, not Mandela, Mandela Act, where it was compulsory for children to go to school, to get some sort of education. But the education wasn't that much either. It was just like reading and writing, and that was it. That was it. As long as you can sign your name, that's all they were interested in. As long as you could read a sentence of sorts, but not absorb that particular sentence, to see what it means. You see what I mean? It's like reading a book. You read a book, and it's so easy to read a book, and you've got the wrong interpretation of what the story's all about. And you think of, I've got it now. But you haven't, because it's a different story altogether. So you're really not reading properly. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like quotes. It's like quotes. You can come out with loads of quotes about things. Now, who would ever think about Oscar Wilde, for example, when he said, the unspeakable in pursuit of the uneatable? Now, you try to work it out, the unspeakable. And you've got to know the backgrounds of Oscar Wilde himself. Right, so the unspeakable, who is he talking about? What's the uneatable? So you're thinking. But if you know the backgrounds of Oscar Wilde, he hated blood sports.
Yeah.
And he used to talk to people who were saying, oh, yes, I'm going now. I'm going on a hunt on Sunday.
Yeah.
For them dirty little vermin foxes. And this is what he was saying, the unspeakable, which are those in pursuit of the uneatable, which are foxes, because you don't eat foxes. You can't eat them.
Yeah.
And that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
So there's quotes that, it's like that wonderful Barnaby Rudge quote, or George Seth about Marcus Aurelius as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I actually seen that statue, in Rome, the original Marcus Aurelius statue. Quite remarkable. I was absolutely delighted with that. Seeing the thing with my own eyes.
Is it bigger than life size?
Oh yeah. It's the very same size as the one in London Road. That's what George Westmacott did. The life size of the one in Rome. TW. Evening, Frank and Anthony.
Good evening, TW. Hope all's good.
And Johan, the education system was established to create efficient workers, not critical thinkers. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Well done,
absolutely.
you.
Yeah,
And
and
it's like it today.
still applies today. Yeah,
You know, you've got public schools, Johan, as you know, and you've got like secondary schools today. And they are, you know, efficient workers. They are not the critical thinkers. I used to have a picture until Boris Johnson um, went over to Kiev to, you know, to carry on a war. I'll just put it that way. This is not for now. And this picture I had, it was a cracking picture. It was a black and white one, and it was the likes of. It was the like they were at Eton. They were at Eton. David Cameron, him, that George, what was his name? Anyway, you know, all the ex-Tory ministers when they were all young at Eton, and it was a cracking black and white one, and you just see them sitting there, standing and sitting on these steps leading into Eton, and it was a cracking photograph. I loved it, I really did, because I used to look at it. It's inspired me to be more socialist. Do you see what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And then I took it down. I lifted it up. I threw it away. Just over 3 years ago. George says, I wish now, as I get older, that I had the opportunity to go to further education. My old fella always said, get a trade, lad. To be fair, I did. And I've been in aerospace for over 40. I think that's great.
Yeah,
I think that's great. Obviously, with your grammar and everything else and with your profession, being in aerospace, your education is very good. It's fine. No need for higher.
yeah,
No need for higher ed. Like, there's my daughter. She's been a teacher. She's been everything, my daughter. And she's back at university. She's just started this week because she wants to be, God knows, psychologist or something. I don't know. I remember when she did 3 years again, you know, after leaving teaching. And she went into 3 years at university to be a mental health nurse, you know. And she said to me then, she said, Dad, you're going to be my favourite subject. God knows what I'll be like now. She hasn't said anything about it. You know, so I think that's great that George said.
yeah,
I really do. I think, you know, no matter what path you take, and this is what it's all about, you've only got to look at these wonderful literature people. You've only got to look. I said the other night, and it was Johan who came on and went, he Googled it. He went, Binky, said, yeah, there it is. And it was about a book written in the 1890s about a certain ship called the Titan. And it was George, I forget his second name, by him. And it was the Titanic. It was the story of the Titanic. Now, the Titanic wasn't even thought of.
yeah,
Wasn't even thought of.
yeah.
And he wrote about it. He wrote about this thing called Titan, the Titan, the wreck of the Titan.
Yeah.
Incredible. Absolutely amazing. And these are the visionaries.
They are, and we find them in literature. We find them in science, but we don't get to read or um, about scientists because the minute they are commissioned to do something, it's under covers, you know, whatever it is they're working on. But with literature, it's absolutely raging against the machine. It's just whether George Orwell or again going back to William Shakespeare. So this is what's coming. This is what's going to hit you next.
Yeah, yeah, because you've only got to look at, you know, all these wonderful. I'll come out with them in the second half. You know, especially the likes of Voltaire and what he was saying. You know, different things. And when you look at William Blake,
Yeah,
what vision he had,
yeah,
and he was totally against child labour.
yeah,
He said a child cannot enjoy himself or enjoy themselves. They can't go on the green and dance and
no,
enjoy the sunshine. They can't do it
yeah,
because they're in factories, they're
yeah,
up chimneys, they're everywhere, working,
yeah.
working, working.
At the same
That was William Blake. I'm sorry, go on.
no, at the same time, he was against the industrialization, which swallowed men and women labor up in this machinery, um, and it was like, where's your life in that? And he was ridiculed as we know by his peers, by everyone really who didn't want to be associated with him. But what he was saying was honest, true, and right. I mean, he did that from I think he was 8 when he first told his mother that he was having visions,
Yeah,
seeing things that weren't there, angels that walked along the street with them, stuff like that. And his mum and dad did not make a fuss, did not make a big deal, um, and they were there for him, his life. And as he got older, and sadly as he passed, there were people there in the room. One of them was a lady who lodged at their house, he and his wife's house, and she said, I have seen the death of not only a wonderful man, but of a true angel. Because he thought nothing but good and positivity for people. He despised, like you said, when people there was mistreated.
of course. And it wasn't just. I'll tell you who else he thought was mistreated as well was the soldiers, the ordinary soldiers, because they were sent to war, needless wars, just like today.
Yeah,
And he also criticised the church in
yeah,
his poem London. You know, because it starts off, I wander through each chartered street near where the chartered Thames does flow. In every face of man I meet, marks of weakness, marks of woe, because he's seen them walking around you. That was it. There
yeah,
was no joy in the ordinary man.
yeah,
There was no joy. And as it goes on and it says about, as the hapless soldier sighs as blood runs down palace walls, and the blackening church appalls. You know, the blackening church appalls as blood runs down palace walls. He's criticising the church for allowing it. For allowing it, then you can leap a couple of 100 years to what Wilfred Owen said. What passing bells for these who die as cattle? So
absolutely.
everything is war, you
Yeah,
see. And he got brought up for sedition. For that, did William Blake. He got brought up for sedition, for writing that, for writing about the church, just those couple of lines about the church and about the palace walls.
Yeah. And a soldier picked a fight with him. Soldier picked a fight with him in the street, and he nearly got imprisoned. And he said to the soldier, because the soldier was pontificating about the joys of dying for your king and your country. And William Blake said, "Damn the king, and all soldiers are slaves." And that was enough to get him in the dock.
Yeah.
So they put him in the dock and he was going to jail, and then the judge threw it out.
Yes, that's sedition, that they're making things up even now.
Yeah.
There's a woman in jail now for putting a tweet up, condemning, and she's in jail. And it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. There were two fellas who beat up policemen, and a policewoman just beat them up, and they got 12 months. Think about it. And that woman's is still in jail. They're out now. It's shocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Barnaby says, sorry to hear about your physical difficulties. I'm simply an observer, but your regulars are very fond of your podcast. I find sharing knowledge inspiring and good for your mental health and well-being. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Barnaby.
Yeah.
And Michael J says, I dare say I'd have more hair today if I'd have remained blissfully ignorant. Thing is, Michael, I've always said, and I've said it to Anthony on many of occasions in private conversation, I wish I knew nothing. I wish I knew nothing. And, there's an old saying, isn't it, cliche or whatever, adage, whatever way you want to say it, is ignorance is blissful. And it's right. It's right,
Yeah.
Christopher. I, Frank and Anthony and everyone, like and subscribe. Can't comment much. I'm in work till late. Oh, come. He's always working, him. He's either working or on holiday in Tenerife.
That's brilliant. Good evening, Christopher.
Good evening, mate. And Johan says, just like today, how America sanctioned Francesca Albanese for condemning the G word in Palestine. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something. Bear with me on this. I'm just going for my phone. I never brought it in. I'm going to show you something. 1 minute, Anthony. Not even a... It depends how long it takes me to wobble over to my couch.
Let's forget your rollerblades.
At least my balance. And it's only what Johan said there. I've got to show you this, please, people. I hope you can see it. I hope you can see this. Just bear with me, people. Just bear with me, please. Oh, I've got to put these bloody glasses on. See, these are light on my nose. And these are bloody heavy on my nose. Do you know what our Sophie has said? Our Francine's always said, hey, Dad, I've got your Roman nose. She always says, I want to go to my plastic surgeon and get it swallowed. And Sophia was here the other day, and she was looking at a photograph, and she said, because I've got a photograph of me when I was a baby. I've got Sophia and I've got Francine, and underneath each other. And Sophia said, "Am I going to have a Roman nose like you, me granddad?" Because we've got the same noses. Funny she is. Just bear with me on this,
It's
people.
not your granddad's fault, it's your mum's fault.
Exactly. Exactly. Just bear with me on this. No, fuck. No. Oh, no. Please let me have it. Oh, yeah. Right. I want you to watch this.
Beautiful little girl.
There's no words.
Oh,
There's no words you can explain. And you don't see it there. Her eyes fill up. This child is about 3 or 4. 4 maximum. Now, all she's seen is devastation in 4 years. That's what she's seen, that child. 4 years of devastation and hate and evil and death. And that's the first time that someone has gone up to her and gave her something. It's the first time she's seen generosity given to her. Generosity. And you could see it in her eyes. Because just imagine if you try and empathize with what she's seen through her eyes of death, destruction, through her little tiny life. And it's unimaginable to us. I've given lectures about the First World War.
well,
And I've said to my students, you cannot imagine what these soldiers went through. You cannot imagine. And I wrote a play and I put it on. And it was very successful. And it was called Echoes of the First World War. And it's about poets. But he had all these things, and I got this fella in to do the sound effects. And I frightened people, the sound effects, because I got him to do the exact decibels of shells coming over and blowing up. And this is what the soldiers were going through every day. And this is what these people are going through every single day.
Yeah.
Innocent victims, babies, through sheer lies that's being said about them. And governments denying. Macron last week denied that there was a genocide going on. I'm going to show that again. Look at this beautiful little child, please. Look at this child. Just there, look at her. Look at her smiling, look. Then she gets the lollipop, look at her. Her eyes are filling up there, you see it, they well up.
If you were to write that down as a story, then it would immediately be a horror story.
And you know what? I think she's dead. That's the sad thing. I think she's dead. And if she is, I hate to say this, but she's in a better place. And Johan says, just like today, how America sanctions Francesca. Yes. Yes, Johan. Francesca Albanese, a beautiful lady who's been criticised for speaking out the truth. The military took a very dim view of people who didn't want to fight their war. It got very nasty. I think people were sentenced to death by firing squad, but on that morning, they commute the sentence. And faster tortoise. P.S. 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 Barnaby Rudge. Well, I hope you change your minds. If not, I respect and understand whatever decision you make. I have been hoping to find out a bit more about Anthony's 100 Heads thinking as well. And why the where. You will. You will. There's no problem about that. Michael J. With you on that, Frank, that poor little girl kills me and carries on. Reminds me of that girl in the red dress in Schindler's List. Again, that was what you call symbolism. It was blood. It was blood. It was death.
Yeah.
Through the blood.
Yeah.
Michael. Heartbreaking, says George White. And I shouldn't have showed that. And Irene's, she's got tears there. And Faster says, you see Facebook articles about Gaza and you know you shouldn't go into the comments. You know it's going to be toxic. You know it's not good for your mental health, but you do it anyway. Yes. Great comment this. The war will end. The leaders will shake hands. The old woman will keep waiting for her martyred son.
And history repeats itself.
That's all it does.
For
Look, I know this is the history of things, but this has got to be said now, and we'll do our history about literature. You've got a nation who are warmongers. One nation, that's all, just one nation who are warmongers. They've got wars all over the place. They cause wars all over the place. And they can't wait to start a war, 2 more, Now, don't forget the mediators about Ukraine and Russia. They started it. They started it. They escalated. They anyway. That's another thing. They started it between Ukraine and Russia, and now you have them on the borders of sending loads of arms over to the borders of Iran. They're going to obliterate, they hope, Iran. Think about it. I keep telling people to look at Homs in Syria before all this started. A beautiful, beautiful city where people just went about the business. Ordinary Syrians. Beautiful white city. What I mean by white, I'm talking white buildings. Beautiful. And architectural, Syrian architectural. They're brilliant. And I tell them to look at it, Homs. It's called Homs. And look at it today. Rubble. You've only got to look at, you're looking at Iran now, but also you've got battleships on the coast of Venezuela.
Yeah.
Battleships. What are they doing there? They told lies about their president, El Presidente Maduro, by saying he's a drug trafficker. Think about it. And people believe it, especially in America. I don't believe it. Of course I don't believe it. Of course I don't believe it. It was just like Gaddafi. This is why I said, ignorance, is bliss. Simply because I knew about Muammar Gaddafi. I knew about him being good to his people. And that's why he lived in a tent. Because he wanted every Libyan to have a home before he went into a home himself, before, the Libyan palace. He wouldn't live in there. He used to greet people there, dignitaries in the palace, then go home and sleep in his tent. Because that's where he was born. Everything was free for the ordinary Libyans. But you're getting all the propaganda and lies, because propaganda's lies about Muammar Gaddafi, and he got a terrible death. That was Obama, that, and Cameron. Get rid of them. It was a big plan. Get rid of Saddam Hussein, all the lies and everything else about him. If you believe anything of what was said about Saddam, I can't help you. But I always remember John Pilger interviewing a young girl, 18 years of age, who was a medical student. She wanted to be a surgeon. And she said, this is a few days after the invasion, an illegal invasion, illegal, not legal, illegal, based on lies of weapons of mass destruction to get rid of Saddam Hussein and steal his oil. And she said, I'll be back to what it's been like, in the past. She said, I won't be able to be educated now. And John Pilger, I'll never forget, it was in the Sunday Mirror, and it was a front, middle page, a front page. And he said, the next interview will be whatever it is about this young girl. Never ever interviewed her again. What happened to her? She must be dead. The great John Pilger. Going into a sovereign country based on lies. And Blair went along with it.
Yeah.
Our Prime Minister went along with it. Yeah. Remember when Colin Powell, that divvy, that horrible person, that big stupid, American general, as usual, telling lies when he was holding up a little thing. He's saying, "This is anthrax. This is for you. If we don't stop this man, Saddam Hussein." And it wasn't anthrax at all. It was water. And Blair went along with it. Tony Blair, now he's being appointed to make Gaza into Dubai.
What a nonsense.
And a load of ID as well, these digital IDs. Because his son is out to make £1 billion out of it. £1 billion. Remember the visionary of the wonderful George Orwell?
Yes.
There's my thing gone off.
George Orwell.
Remember what he said about in 1984, and he spoke about collectivism and oligarchs.
Yes.
You're talking when it was published in 1938. Can you see me?
Yeah. Yeah. It was the last film that Richard Burton did, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I don't know why me. Oh, for fuck's sake. Give up. I'll have to get myself a new fucking light. No, I won't, because I'm not bothering anymore.
Well, you've got a wonderful ghostly glow in the background there. That's
looks as though I've got a tan. At least I've got it. It's giving me a tan.
actually, yeah.
Does that look like a halo around me?
Yeah.
St.
Yeah.
Francis. St. Francis. Let's see what our lads and girls have been saying. And Faster says, you point out that innocent kids have been slaughtered, and they ask why I hate Jews that much to say such a thing. Why I hate, exactly because people are turning against them. Faster. You say it, Frank. Let your hair down. Some things need to be said, says Michael J. And vitally, he says, "Hey, Frank, Anthony in chat, trust you well."
Yeah, we're good.
Says our Russian friend.
Trust you all too.
Says our Russian friend. And Faster says, Netanyahu will die peacefully in his bed. That is a fucking travesty. That will stain the human race for ages to come. Do you know what I said? Let's see if I can get this bloody light on now. No. I think it's gone altogether. I'll have to put the lights on. I don't know where they are,
There you go.
Come back to me paleness. I don't like this light. It's too bright. And it gets to my eyes, You know that I have to wear sunglasses doing this. This is what kills me.
Yeah.
And, I don't like wearing sunglasses because
you need to get
the
some
obsession said you've got to wear them. You have to wear them if you're doing podcasts. Anyway. But you're right there, Faster. He will not become accountable. Neither that Smotrich. He's horrible, him. He said, we cannot be touched because we are what they are, because God has given us the right to do what we want. I'm paraphrasing his comment, but that's what he meant. Foster says, weapons of mass destruction. We got told we would get attacked in 45 minutes, and people fell for it. Yeah, that's what Blair was saying. That's what Blair was saying with this anthrax stuff. I didn't believe one word he was saying. You know, like yourself, Faster, most probably you didn't believe it. Anthony didn't believe it. And George says, Big Brother is always watching
Yeah,
and listening. Sorry, go on.
that's just pure George Orwell. He wrote that. He devised the concept of Big Brother. And guess what? We're living it. You know.
It just shows you that, you know, Shakespeare was right, wasn't he? You know, by what he was saying and all his works. All his works. And you know what? His very first play was Titus Andronicus, and it was very bloody, and he hated it. He hated it, and he never had written anything like that again. He didn't like his first play, Titus Andronicus, because it was very, very bloody. Did you know that?
Yeah, only through you talking about it. But yeah, I wouldn't have known it otherwise. But it's it's a learning curve for everyone. For writers, they've got to go through stuff to arrive at the to mature into the message they want us to know. And the greats, you know, Shakespeare, Dickens, too, and George Orwell, and all of them.
Well, look at what Thomas Hobbes said in the 1600s, 17th century.
Yeah,
Man is nasty, brutish, and short.
yeah,
Nasty, brutish, and short. And that's what we are. We're nasty.
yeah.
We're brutish, very brutal, and short tempers. You've only got to look at America. If you're not with us, you'll get it.
No, I know.
Just
That's a hard.
bullying all the time. Fucking pain. Can't get rid of this pain.
Yeah, that's the horrifying thing about it, Frank.
The lighting's great. You're on fire, man, says Michael J. Thanks, man. And Faster says the current bun is read by millions of people. They are all under the thrall of a 90-year-old foreigner. I've got to say, a fucking sheeple. Of course, and that's you know who.
Yeah,
That's you know who.
yeah,
The Australian
yeah,
newspaper gave out the truth about me and every other fan. Every other fan. Because what they wanted to do was paint a picture of every, not just Liverpool fans, by the way, but every fan. All these people who go to watch football matches are hooligans. And Johan Shouldn't have disrespected Lewis Hamilton's dog the other night. He's been haunting the pods ever since. But honestly, I think I know that you're only joking there. But what you've got to understand is, and I know I felt terrible with little Mia, but you know, I've just shown you that picture, and I've also seen, that video of that little child, that beautiful little child. And does anybody ever remember a young girl, again the same age as that beautiful little girl? And she was dressed in a frozen dress, princess dress, and she was known as the princess. She was known as the princess. And what had happened was, she was just walking aimlessly up a rubbled street that had been bombed and shelled. And she was dressed in it, and she was full of debris, dust. And she was just walking aimlessly. She was 3 or 4 years of age. And it was shocking. It broke my heart, just like that other little child. And I was listening to George Galway one night, and I commented on a show, and he actually read it out. I said, has anybody heard, after a few months of this little princess, has anybody heard of the little princess? Because that's what she was nicknamed. And George said, she's dead. You can't survive in Gaza, in other words, no matter what age you are. Then you had the Hind episodes where all her family was killed in a car. Killed, and she was screaming help, crying out for help. 6 years of age. Think about that, Anthony and people. 6 years of age. Help, help, help me. She ended up with 350 bullets in it. 350 bullets. Not like shells or bombs or anything. Bullets from machine guns. So I wonder who did that. And that's what I was thinking of, Johan, at the time, and drugs coming to her. And I know she was, she meant well. She didn't know well. So I had to say so. Michael J., I wouldn't mind going a few rounds with Big Brother. I think we'd all love to go a few rounds with Big Brother. Nasty, brutish, and short. Hitler.
Applies to so many people now, George.
It does. It applies to a lot of people. And you know what? We're calling the likes of Netanyahu and Smotrich for everything. And yet we've got our own just sitting back and allowing it. We're giving money to Ukraine, the most corrupt country on the planet. And it was proved even before this Russian thing. You've got Zelensky, a multi-billionaire. How has he got that? You've got this Starmer fella pledging every year for the next 100 years, £5 billion, and you take inflation with that as well. So it'll be more than 5 billion each year of my money, of your money. And this is what I was saying at the beginning. I'm sorry about this tonight. I wanted to talk the history, but it's overpowering. It's got to me. Everything has got to me.
But this again is the beauty of literature, and we're reciting from legendary people who've been through it. Our worry, and I think it was Johan who mentioned a few weeks ago, who is writing the truth now, and where will it be seen? Because it
Yeah,
can't be a newspaper, can't be a magazine.
no,
There's no book publisher going to touch it. So we're back to William Blake's days, where the truth speakers are speaking, but no one's going to hear it.
yeah, yeah. It's like what Voltaire said, once. He said, those who would make you believe in absurdities would make you commit atrocities.
Yeah,
That's some powerful
yeah,
comment, quote.
yeah,
And it's true because they do, try to make you believe in the absurd. I've just been mentioning about Muammar Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein and Bashar Assad because the Americans wanted them out. That was
yeah.
their goal. And see, I can't even pronounce I can't even pronounce the Afghans leader. His name can't pronounce it. And they wanted him out, and they succeeded. But what they left was the Taliban, and it took them 20 years, and they still couldn't defeat them. They can't even defeat the Houthis. They can't even defeat the Houthis. Know what I mean?
Yeah,
Man is an animal who makes bargains. Yeah, he did say that, Thomas Hobbes. Man is an animal who makes bargains because he's nasty, brutish, and short. And Barnaby says, children don't start wars. They have no power to end wars, but they are the ones who suffer the most.
yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
While the US is supporting Israel at all costs, not much can happen. The US is too powerful. Look, I know I shouldn't say this because this is for a Friday night. Everything was pre-planned for Russia to get involved in a war. You know that, don't you? You know that they were being provoked. They were poking the bear. And they were poking the bear over Ukraine. Over Ukraine because I'm not repeating what I've said many occasions. Some people believe it, some people don't. They just, because they're Russophobes. Russia's never done anything to me. Never. The axis of evil that America come out with and we go along with is North Korea. A North Korean has never done anything to me. A Russian has never done anything to me. A Chinese has never done anything to me. Iranian has never done anything to me. And they're the axis of evil. When was the last time Iran invaded a country? They've never invaded.
no,
I said, when was the last time Russia invaded the country? And someone mentioned Chechnya. I said, that is Russia. I said they wanted to start a civil war, and it was quashed. And he said, well, what about Afghanistan? I said, because they were invited in because the Mujahideen was trying to take over. And I guess what? The Mujahideen had taken over because, the Americans said, listen, we'll go when we'll step in for you, Russia. Don't be worried, you go home. So he took the piss out of Russia again. And the Americans went in and put the Mujahideen in power, just like that they put in power in Syria, this El Jawani. Now, El Jawani, there was a $10 million bounty on his head just a few months ago by the Americans, and they put him in power. He's a terrorist. He's ISIS. He chops heads off. He's doing it right now as we're talking, killing loads of Christians. The Halloween.
It's the devil,
I forget the first.
No.
Say that again.
It's for the Americans. It's dealing with the devil. They know. So put in him or her.
They've always been the devil. As Shakespeare said, hell is empty. The devils are here. Think about that quote.
Yeah.
Hell is empty. The devils are here.
Yeah.
See, I've got to answer this if I might by faster. And what it was to provoke Russia to go into Ukraine. Now, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but Ukraine is a Nazified country. It was the most corrupt country. And if you go back to 2018, get all your papers, get all the Western press going, look at that, these are all, look how corrupt these are. Because in 2014, they put in a puppet regime, the Americans, led by Victoria Nuland. You don't know who Victoria Nuland? Look it up. The CIA and MI6, and put in a puppet regime. They overthrew a legal government who most of the Ukrainians voted for, by the way, but they overthrew them. Along with the Azovs, the Nazis, the Banderites. If you don't know who Stefan Bandera was, look him up. Look him up. And these are the Azovs today. And they burned 40-odd people in a union place. They were in a union. And they burnt them to death. Set fire to the building. And they wouldn't allow them out, and they burned to death. Think about that. And that was in Odessa. And Putin was saying, listen, you've got to stop this. This is genocide. From 2014, when the government was overthrown. Because the people, Russian-speaking people, were being bombarded with shells and bombs and snipers. Just like fucking Gaza today. Just like Gaza today. And the West wouldn't take no notice because the Yanks said. Then they had a peace agreement between March and April 2022 after they first went in. And Boris Johnson, that's why I took the picture off. But I loved the picture, but I had to rip it up in anger. don't get me wrong, I hated Boris Johnson, I hate any Tories. But it was just a picture to remind me, the picture that inspired me to be a socialist.
Yeah.
But these elitists who are in power today, who are causing devastation and escalation in Ukraine. Ukraine is the biggest washing machine. There's that von der Leyen. She's going, we're going to give billions to Ukraine. It's a money laundering thing. It's going back to them. Ukraine is not getting nothing. Zelensky is, and the Azovs. He's a multi-billionaire. Think about it. Where's he got the money from? It's off you, me, the Americans, and all Europe, ordinary people of Europe. And you're not hearing anything, really, what the ordinary people of Europe are saying about their leaders. You might see it a bit on the news about Paris being on fire in France and demonstrations here, but they're not saying too much, are they? About why. And they poked the bear, and then they went in, and it was all a plan. What do you think the plan was for? To keep Russia out of certain things. And that includes Israel. Because they would have had something. This theory only, was it yesterday? Trump saying we've got the greatest. They've got nothing. The greatest power, military power today is Russia. They've got the most super weapons, undetected in the sky. They become invisible. And he's saying around and saying we've got the best weapons. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. And you get that Escott, that arsehole Escott, the Minister of War or the Defence, the Secretary of War. What a fucking arsehole. A greasy-looking oaf who was. Have you seen his tattoos there? Guess what his tattoos are, Anthony?
Mickey Mouse, probably one of them.
The Iron Cross. The Iron Cross. Fucking big things. He's a tattoo man. And he gave a speech to all his generals, and he never got, and he never even got one clap. That's what they're like, these Americans.
Yeah.
And they've just looked at him and gone, because he says, if anyone's not with us, fuck them. That's what he said. F-O them. And that's why Russia can't do anything. But they have got a base in Syria. And they have got loads and loads of Christians in there protecting them. But they can't save them all. This wouldn't be going on today if Russia wasn't involved in the war. It was planned. Seeds are sown. Seeds are sown for wars. They can't just go, I think we'll have a war tomorrow. It's all fucking sown up. The seeds are there for years. Like the 1871 Franco-Prussian War was the seeds for World War I in 1914. August 1914.
Yeah.
So the seeds were sown. And that's why it was planned for Russia to be involved in a war of attrition. And they're destroying Ukraine. Ukraine's going to be what they call a rump state. That's it. And guess who's got all the resources? All the oblasts that Russia have taken to protect the Russian culture and Russian-speaking people. So faster, they're not powerful, mate. We think they're powerful because we're told that they're powerful. They're not anymore. Listen, if America are that powerful and they think that Russia was that weak, they would have gone in there and took Russia on in Ukraine and defeated them. They can't even fucking defeat the Houthis. They couldn't defeat the Afghans. So they made Al-Qaeda and ISIS their mates by putting al-Jawani as leader of Syria. Think about it. I know. Foster says, I like Russia more if they stop bloody poisoning people on our soil. I'd like Russia more if they stop. I don't understand that. I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest. Is that a quote from someone?
No.
Is that a quote from von der Leyen?
It pertains to the defectors, Russian defectors who came here, and then they were targeted, supposedly. This is what the news tells us.
What did they do? I don't know. I haven't a fucking clue.
The various people have been poisoned in a way that the poison's only got to touch your skin, absorbs, and you
so has that nothing to do with Hunter Biden then and his biolabs on the borders of Ukraine to Russia? Had nothing at all to do with them. And these are Russian defectors. How many of them? Thousands of them.
No.
How do you know they're not Ukrainian? Pretending to be Russian. I believe what you want, sir, Foster. I'm sorry. Believe what you want, mate. We are here only a short time, ultimately, says Barnaby the Rudge. We all need to follow qualities of great peacemakers, like Mother Teresa. If we really want to love, we must learn how to forgive. There's no forgiveness in the world, I'm afraid to say. There's no forgiveness. Michael says, Frank, I know your reaction to the dog was an knee-jerk, and I know Mia gets it. Tonight's a good show, Frank, and it's what people need to hear. Thank you. And the Foster taught us. No, mate, I'm not totally disagreeing. You're having a clue, mate. I'm sorry, Foster, you haven't a clue. I'm telling you now. Did you know Victoria Nuland, by the way? If I was to have asked you that and you would have said no, I said you know nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I'm not agree to disagree with you anytime soon. So if you don't like it, you know what to do. Just walk away. I won't say nothing. Just walk away. But don't come out with silliness to me like that. I'm telling you. Fucking the Russians. I'd like Russia if they didn't poison. Oh, get out of it, for fuck's sake. And Toscana to Barnaby. Sorry, but I can't agree with Mother Teresa's statement. Some things are not forgivable. I'm talking in a personal situation to myself and not what's going on in the world at the moment. And Johan to faster. If you think Zelensky is fighting for Ukrainian interests while selling over 50% of land to BlackRock and other hedge funders, then I've got a bridge to sell you, mate. Thank you, Johan. He knows nothing. Faster knows absolutely zilch. Zilch. And in layman's terms, fuck all. Go back to reading the fucking Daily Mirror, mate. Yeah, look, as a disclaimer, I'm not an expert. Well, fucking don't fucking comment then. And you've got a limited understanding on this. I haven't got the necessary knowledge to argue against your point. Well, stop. Just stop it. Just listen to what I say. Do you agree with fucking Nazis going into churches and desecrating churches and dragging out priests and imprisoning them and fucking executing them and parishioners if they try to stop them? Do you agree with that? Faster. Do you agree with that? Because that's been happening in Ukraine. And banning Russian-speaking people. Banning little children going into school saying, you're not speaking Russian, you've got to learn Ukrainian. It's like someone coming in here, say like Portuguese. Let's just pick Portugal, for example, because the mince pie man's going there next week for 5 days. And just imagine them coming into our schools to little kids, like my granddaughter, and saying, stop speaking English now. Stop it. You've got to speak Portuguese. Think about that. Think about it. Stop reading Charles Dickens and Shakespeare. Stop eating fish and chips. All your traditions have gone. Stop waving the Union Jack or the English flag. That's our culture. And the Portuguese are destroying it as we speak. And that's just hypothetical because it's happening, or it was happening, in Ukraine. Fuck's sake. Sorry, Faster Tortoise, but you're a good man. But you just haven't a clue, mate. You just haven't a clue. I said to you, he's a multi-billionaire. How has he got it? I just said that it was the biggest money laundering fucking country in the world. Billions is going back to the people who's sending it in. Von der Leyen, a bureaucrat, unelected, who's telling the Europeans what to do. By the time she finishes, she'll be a multi-billionaire. Along with these idiots like Mark Rutte, multi-billionaires by the time it's finished. Because it's not going to the ordinary Ukrainian, it's going to the Azovs and Zelensky and to the people in the EU, meaning Brussels. And if you can't, just listen, stop listening to the BBC and ITV, stop reading the Daily Express or any mainstream media. Please stop it. Barnaby saying, I respect you, what you're saying as a Christian. I find it hard to understand how God allows wars, famine, genocide. For me, at least, I struggle with faith, but we are meant to turn the other cheek. You see, people know that I say two prayers ever since I was a little boy. I was brought up a Roman Catholic. I was a bloody altar boy once, an altar boy. And I grew up with my faith. And I'm being honest, I did go to Mass. I did go to Mass. We were always getting forced, as kids. Like when you're 13 or 14, come on, Mass. And you go, oh, blimey, So we used to have to go. And then home again. But I was still going. And if I missed the Mass of a Sunday morning, I used to go. I was in a parish of St. Joseph's. And then I used to go down to 6:30 Mass at Holy Cross. And I used to go there. Lovely, Now, that was my faith. Until something happened to me in 1979. And then I questioned everything. But I still say those two prayers. Every night I pray for you lot on here. I pray for Anthony and his little family. Because I named them before I start my prayers. I don't name like Barnaby Rudge or Faster Tortoise or anything like that. I don't name that. Toscana and Bella and everybody else, Johan. I just say my group. And I say prayers for you. But I also pray for peace. Believe it or not, I'm a pacifist. I wrote about the First World War play. I've got a script here, look. I've got a fucking script. That's a script, though. I've written about Dickens. A reflection of Dickens. That's a full script, though. Look. Full script. Loads of lines. Look, loads of pages. A full script. I might read you some of it one night. No, I won't, because I'm not fucking doing it anymore. I'm really, it's getting to me. It really is getting to me, unfortunately. Everything is getting to me. And I mean everything. Just like I've dropped me little, I've got more, believe it or not. I've got more of these in here than anything. I'll just drop one, and I suppose it'll be for your comments. And always remember me bark's worse than me bite, Always remember that. Let's see if it was. Oh. The telly. It wasn't. I've got mouses. I've got these things. I've got. And it's so confusing sometimes. And the faster says we could do a decent objective information, then we can decide if there are too many people trying to BS. Yes, great comment. Great comment. Great comment, that. Michael says, yes. Johan, that Boris image must have felt like Rocky Four moment when he rips Drago's photo off the mirror after training montage. Cold War propaganda film now that I look back, used to love as a kid. Yeah. And you've only got to look at, everything. And all it is today is Russia, 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 Russia. And, you're getting them saying Putin doesn't want to negotiate. There's always been a negotiation on the table for 3 fucking years. But they won't explain. They won't tell you that. He even invited Zelensky over to Moscow. He said, yeah, come over and we talk. Now, there's Ben Wallace today. Remember that arsehole? Remember the defense secretary? And he had to resign.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, we can send those long-range things and destroy Crimea. Destroy the Kerch Bridge. This is his threat. He doesn't realise what the Russians have and what they've said. If we find any missiles long range coming from the country of origin, they will face the consequences. Remember when I was talking about the Orishnik to you, Anthony?
Yeah.
Remember when I said, take London for example?
Yeah.
And take Liverpool for example. And the whole of Merseyside would be gone but one. The whole of Merseyside. And that's without a nuclear warhead. Because the Russians said any of these long-range, I was going to say weather forecast, any of these long-range missiles could have a warhead, a nuclear warhead, and they're not going to hesitate to send nuclear nukes off Russia. Because we're not standing by to say, like, I wonder if that's a nuclear warhead on that or not. They're not going to wait, they're just going to go, ping, press the button. They've warned. They've been warned. No forgiveness, says Michael J. Tell us who she is then. Victoria Newland. Victoria Newland is married to a Jew. Well, she is a Jew anyway. A fella named Kagan. Does that tell you at all? Remember the plan? Remember? And she hates Russia. It's been in her planning for years to get rid of or to provoke, or no, not to provoke, to get rid of Putin so that the Americans could go in and take all the resources like they do and everywhere else. But this is a nuclear power. This is a very strong man in Putin. You might think that Putin went in, for nothing. I told you why he went in, to save the Russian-speaking people. That's why he's gone into these oblasts. They're all Russian-speaking. They're all Russian. I've explained loads of times. And I'm finally here. Barca versus PSG being entertaining, says Callum, the copite. Callum, I'm finally here. And Johan says to Faster, just Google Victoria Newland, Maidan Colour Revolution. Now, Maidan is called Liberty. It's a square, and that's where it happened. And the CIA, you're having honestly, Faster, you're having a clue, fella, honestly, mate. You're having a clue to bring Russia into Ukraine. I'll give you some idea of what I mean, rather than me go over and over and over and over again. There was a thing called the Schlieffen Plan in Germany in 1891. Remember when I said about the Franco-Prussian War, 1871 Franco-Prussian War? And that was the seeds for the First World War. Well, in 1891, the Germans made a plan, the Schlieffen fella. And it was to draw in the British onto French soil so that the Germans would beat the British and the French together and go eastwards to Russia to defeat them. That was the plan. Do you understand now? To draw Russia into Ukraine. What do they say? Kagan and Newlands are married. What are they? What denomination are they? You see what I mean? Do you see what's happening in Gaza today? Do you see what they want to do to Iran? Who's Iran? Who's the allies of Iran? Russia. So keep them busy with a war and we take on Iran. The Russians can't do anything because they're already in a war. Planning great. They also said in 1999, a General Clark came in and he held a piece of paper up. Like that. And he says, on this paper, we have 7 countries. 5 in the Middle East and 2 in Africa to destabilize them so that the great movement of migrants will cross into Europe to destabilize Europe. What's happening today in Europe with all the migrants? By the Middle Easterns and the Africans. One of the African countries was Somalia. And they're all coming up to destabilize the countries so that there was a great movement of migrants, not just a few, but millions of them. You've got to understand the bigger picture before you say, oh, you know, Russia's poisoning that. I want to know where he's fucking poisoning them. You've got to understand about Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, when he set up all these biolabs across the Ukraine border. You've got to understand a lot. You should listen to me Friday show anyway, Faster. Might get some idea. Michael J. Love your passion tonight, Frank. Much needed today. Tony needs to speak up. I'm fast to say, bloody hell, go easy on me, mate. I just listen to history podcasts and read books about the early 20th century physics. I know, I'm sorry about that. I did apologise, by the way. But, you know, you say, look, It's like saying George Orwell didn't write, shall we say, 1984. It was written by Barbara Woodhouse. Say it's completely wrong. So when Anthony and myself saying, "Oh no, it was written by George Orwell," that's the truth. Someone who's saying that it was written by, which they haven't. I'm just giving you an analogy. Written by Barbara Woodhouse. It's the untruth, and this is what the Western media is today. Just telling untruths. They're not telling you the full truths. It's like, I don't know if you're a supporter or what, but it was like the current bun. I hate saying the name that Rupert Murdoch owns. And it came out in April of 1989, the truth about Liverpool fans. Did you believe that? If you're not that old, do you believe it did happen? But I'm not telling you what the truth was, because it's painful for me to tell you, because I was an actual survivor, and it hurts me. It hurts me. If you believe that, you believe all Western media and what they're saying. All propaganda. It's not propaganda anymore, it's lies.
It's lies. Aim to suit purpose.
And current affairs can be fucking depressing. Don't listen to it. People do. People don't. And Michael says, "Frank, you're okay. Thank you." And Callum to Faster. He don't mean nought bad. He ain't going in on you, mate. He's Italian. They love passionate talk. Callum says, all flotilla boats have been kidnapped by Israel. Well, again, you had Giorgio Maloney, who sent a battleship there, and so did the Spanish president. And, something could come of that. Something could come of that. That could be a massive mistake by Netanyahu and Smotrich. And Bella says, "Franco, thank you for your prayers for us all. God is listening." Thank you, Bella. And not trying to wind people up. I don't do echo chambers. That's fine. That's no problem. Honestly, no problem. And Toscana says, "I sometimes question my faith." What literature, what writer questioned their faith? Any idea?
I think it's the honest everyone, but at a point, because you're faced with the same questions. And as you've been describing over the media and the newspaper, what is truth? We split religion like we do football cards when we used to collect them when we were kids.
Is right. Yeah, it is right, Anthony. And you're right about these great writers. They've always questioned something.
Yes.
William Blake.
Yes.
And he was a clergyman. Was Wilfred Owen.
Yes.
what passing bells for these who die as cattle?
Yeah.
They're the bells of the church. I'm blessing them as they're going away to the depths.
Yeah.
You've
Both,
got
both of them were profound believers in God, but not necessarily the God that has been pumped their way. Because well, certainly Wilfred Owen, he walked through it. Like that
of
little
course he did. Of course he did.
showed someone to ask that poor little girl, do you believe in God? I think if the gloves are off and you're speaking from the heart and from a knowledge base, that even if no one else has seen it, then you can't toe the same line as.
No. No, you can't toe the same line. You really can't. And it's wrong. It really is wrong for anyone to. You see, look, I felt pain tonight. I've always felt pain, and even physical pain, by the way, because of my left elbow. As you know, I'm in constant pain. And as Tolstoy once said, if you feel pain, you're alive. If you feel other people's pain, you're a human being.
Yeah.
Did we feel pain with that little girl when I showed you and the chatters?
Oh God, yes.
We felt her pain. I'm glad you're just saying that you question your faith. One day I'll tell you at the end of this program, because I won't be seeing you any longer. The faster says 150 countries want to recognise Palestine. That leaves 40 odd others. That must be USA and Israel. I wonder who the other ones are. Everybody faster is recognising Palestine, but what they're not recognising, which is the most important thing, it's all right coming out and saying, I agree that it should be two states. It's okay saying that. But what they're not saying is that genocide is being committed. That's what it is. That's all it takes, just to say genocide is being committed. And do you know that, let me just say this, and I won't say no more about Russia. Do you know that people fly into Russia, into Ukraine, Kiev every time? All these fucking world leaders and diplomats and everyone, they don't fly to Russia, right? And they go by train, they go by everything into Ukraine. Do you know who gives them permission to go in? Russia. Now, there's Russia. There's this Kaya Kallas, that complete and utter Russophobe and arsehole, said she wants to, the skies.
Yeah. She
wants the skies blocked off from Russian things. They're not going to do that. Now, Russia, here's my point. Russia could easily go like that. No more fucking planes with diplomats on, world leaders, or anyone going into Ukraine, because we'll fucking take them out the sky. Yeah. And if there's any trains, we've got intel. If there's any trains with diplomats on, we'll take them out as well. We'll blow up everything with any sort of foreign diplomats going in. They don't think about that. They've never said it, Russia, but they could easily do it. Yet they allow people to go to and from Russia, Ukraine. Steve Mulholland, the French and Spanish have gone back and abandoned the flotilla. Well, hi, Steve. Steve's a good friend of mine, by the way. So who do you think that is? Who do you think's ordered that, Steve? I'll give you the clue. The big letter starts with an A. The country starts with an A, and it ends with an A. They've said, you better fucking stop it. Get back. Because it's Israel, you see. And Israel doesn't start with an A. And it doesn't end with an A. And Bella says, I can understand that, Toscana. For me, I love God. He's always been with us all. And he loves us.
Yeah.
That's a lovely.
Yeah. One God. One race.
Some people cannot speak England or English properly. He's having a go at me there. No, he's not. I'm only joking. Frank has the Spanish archer syndrome. Frank has the Spanish elbow.
Elbow. Yeah. El Tochi elbow.
Toscana says, I think he bypassed me. No, he hasn't. Please, Toscana, no, he hasn't. I know what you mean, though. I do know what you mean about them. And Callum says, it's obviously America. Of course it is. Of course it is. The maniacs of the Middle East plant pager detonators in a country they are not even at war with and get away with it. Meanwhile, foreign leaders are allowed to step foot in Kiev, active war zone. Exactly, and that's what I mean. That's what I mean, Johan. Russia could easily say no more now. And no one will be going to Kiev. And they could even say to Zelensky, if we fucking see you leaving Ukraine, you're fucking dead, mate. I can swear now because it's gone 9 o'clock. You're dead, mate. You're gone. We're going to blow you up. Or we'll capture you and put you on a trial for war crimes, which he should be. And Bella says, no, Toscana, he has not. You can feel he's not. You can feel he's not listening to you, but he will answer your prayers. That's good, that. That's a cracker, that, Bella. I love that little thing. Loved it tonight, Frank. You have balls, says Michael J.
May have a dodgy elbow, but
I'm going to do something tomorrow night. And I promise you, none of this will have been going on about tonight. And do you know what I'm doing, Anthony, tomorrow night?
no, what?
It's with you. We're doing the history show again. Is that all right with you?
That's all right with me. If you want to go down that, yeah, absolutely, Frank.
Okay. That's good. Because I was going to have a night off, but I'll do the history show because I love the history show. The history of literature.
Yeah.
Because we can bring in our greats.
Brilliant.
we just bypassed more or less William Blake. We never spoke about Dickens. We didn't even speak about that wonderful lady, Charlotte Bronte, and what she wanted. For kids, by the way, for children, for education.
Yeah.
And Toscana to Foster Tortoise, some countries have conditions before they will recognise Palestine. Italy is one of them. And Stephen Mulholland too. I think Foster's gone though, to be honest. Toscana. The IDF officer who gave the orders has an American accent.
Yeah.
Say Stephen Mulholland, oh, go away. I always remember just before the invasion of Iraq, they were talking to some Iraqis in, they were well dressed, well suited up. In Washington, outside you see the White House. And he said, about Saddam Hussein, and there's going to be an invasion in a few weeks. We know this.
Yeah.
And he said to the Iraqis, do you agree with, to take out Saddam Hussein, to overthrow him? And they went, yeah, we sure do. It'll be better if he's gone. Does that sound like an Iraqi accent to you?
No.
There you go.
Land of the free and the brave.
Yeah.
I think not.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got to get right onto this. I was watching this program about Iraq, and they said it was better when Hussein was there. Saddam was. It was. As I mentioned before, John Pilger interviewing this young girl, 18 years of age, who was practicing to be a surgeon in medical school, university. It's not like that anymore. When the Russians were in Afghanistan, people were walking around with, long hair. And then the Mujahideen took over, who the Americans wanted, and they're all back to the hibba, to there, little slits in the eye. Excuse me. And Callum says to Michael, I'd expect Frank to have the balls. I expect Frank to have balls. He's a male. I met Piers Corbyn. Steve says, I met Corbyn on Sunday and seen Craig Murray in the castle. Go away, did you? Go away, Craig Murray. Wow. And he was in the car. Great. He was a great diplomat, eh? A great diplomat. But we've got no diplomats here in this country. We've got the likes of John Healey instead, Defence Secretary, and the ex-Secretary, Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace. Oh,
No.
good grief. These people. You're talking to me. I'm glad you never said Douglas Murray there. I'm glad you never said Douglas Murray, stay. I was watching this program about Iraq, and they said it was better than when he was. Believe me, Faster, it was like Libya, as I said, it was better under him. But America went in to destabilize those countries so that there's, see, what you've got, what I'm trying to say is Iraq is now a failed state, what you call a failed state. Somalia is a failed state. You've got Libya, a failed state. Syria is a failed state. That's what America do. They want failed states. They want to take their resources. Who's taking all the Libyan oil? America. Who's taking all the Syrian oil? America. Who's taking all the Iraqi oil? America. What do they want to do now? They want to go into Venezuela because Venezuela's got more oil than any other country on the planet. They've got gold mines. They've got precious stone mines like diamonds. That's why they want to go in there. And they call El Presidente Maduro a drug trafficker. What would he want to be a drug trafficker for? They just make it up for, I'm sorry to say this, Pastor, for you to believe it. Honestly. I'm not saying you believe it now, like, but that's what they want you to believe and say, oh, yeah, well, he was a drug trafficker. I'm not saying you're saying it. It'll be other people saying, oh, well, he was a drug trafficker, wasn't he? And he wasn't. And he isn't. The land of the free, home of the brave. That's what the sheep tell each other before going to sleep, says Yo. And Princess Anne went to Ukraine today, says Bella. Say they could have got in. They allowed the Russians a lot. They have to ask them, you know. You know, every country, say like Starmer today or someone, phoning up Russia, listen, Princess Anne's going over. They say, okay, it's okay. She said, anyone going over there? Anyone? You've got that Keith Kellogg, fucking, and that Lindsey Graham. Oh, what a pair of. Who grew opium in Afghanistan to continue the war on drugs? Ding dong. Ding ding ding. America. See, look, they've got opium fields there today in Afghanistan. And don't forget, they were there for 20 years. Did they destroy the opium fields, the poppy fields? Nope. Still there. Why didn't they destroy them for 20 years? If they're so afraid of drugs going in, you've got to understand it. Well, you know, Johan. See the comment there. You've got to understand the likes of all the drugs go, which is incredible. It was like the 20s. It was like prohibition. Because the prohibition then, it was a black economy, just like the drugs is today, a black economy that goes all into the American coffers. Do you know when they get these fellas and they've got millions stacked up?
Yeah.
In America.
Yeah.
Where else? In America. Millions.
Yeah.
That keeps the police going. And Bella says she laid teddies for the children that have died. Did she go to the Donbass? Or was it just Kiev? Did she go to Lugansk? Did she go to Zaporozhye? Did she go to Crimea? Did she go to Kherson? Where loads of children have been killed in schools and hospitals by the Kiev regime and the Azovs. Did she go there? No, of course she wouldn't go there. And as Stephen says, Kellogg is a serial killer. Now, Fastener says the US has got a long history of interfering in Central America and South America. Same in Europe, same in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Same in Europe and the Middle East. They won't stop interfering. It's not just, but yes, South America, they've always been at it.
Yeah.
In South America. The Mexicans hate them. So does Maduro, by the way. El Presidente, Maduro, he hates them. And they've got Milei, who's the Argentinian president. And he hates Maduro. Do you know why he hates Maduro? Because he's a puppet of America. He can't make it up. They make leaders puppets. We love America. We hate you. And Johan's laughing at it.
Laughing.
Be happy in yourself. Some things have to be said. Yeah. Yeah, you're right there, Michael J. And on that wonderful note, I'm sorry about tonight, people. I love my, as does this man sitting facing me, the history of literature. And that's why I'm having it tomorrow. No more of this. If I see anybody putting on anything about, it was my fault actually. I put that little girl up, but I had to show it.
Yeah.
I had to show that child. And Johan says Milei is a rabid Zionist with a horrible haircut. Johan, I was watching the game last night and all the Galatasaray players. No wonder all the Turkish barbers here are fucking open. I wouldn't get a fucking haircut like them. Did you see the hair?
There were some bad haircuts.
Oh, bad hairdos. But you're right, he is a Zionist, a bad one at that. They're all fucking Zionists. Aha, the chainsaw guy. I haven't been following Argentina. You don't have to because it's all quiet on them faster because he's already been put in place by the Americans. I'll just leave you with this. There's a place called Moldova. And, you know, I'm not going about Romania when I mentioned about Georgescu and Simeone, unfortunately. But Moldova was fixed again by the EU for this woman Sandra to get in. It's shocking what they're doing. The EU, these unelected bureaucrats in Brussels are fixing polls, are fixing governments for the Americans to be put in. Puppets. And they're doing it openly. Openly. You've only got to look at Germany. 7 people have died within a week. Politicians. Because they wouldn't take they wouldn't take part in elections. They killed them off. Is anything said about that? They just say, oh, that's a mystery, isn't it? It's happening before our very eyes. All the corrupt. Everything.
In plain sight.
In plain sight. It's shocking. Cheers, Frank and Anthony, says TW.
Cheers, TW. See you tomorrow.
Let's hope. Let's hope someone will join us tomorrow. But I promise you, honest to God, I promise you. Um, isn't it funny how we say honest to God? We still say it, don't we? Even as adults. As though like you're going to believe it. Honest to God.
Honest,
I've got a mate, Anthony Honest. And do you know when he used to tell me something? Even today, he used to tell me something and he'd go, honest, honest, honest. I just, I believe you. Believe you, James. Honest. And Johan says, thank you, Frank, Anthony, and Legends for a passionate show. Current affairs took over, but in the words of Trump, I like it. I like it a lot. See you, Legends, tomorrow for an encore of the literature. Yes, I promise you. I promise you. Is that okay with you, Anthony? I'm so sorry about tonight.
Frank, you never need to apologise to me. And yes, absolutely brilliant.
Tomorrow night, the history of literature.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know what? Shall I tell you why? Our kids used to say to me, God blimey, you always at the altar rails, as a little skid, because I was always going to church and things. Never stop eating the altar rails, you know. And do you know when I started to question everything?
Yeah.
Was in France. And I seen something which I went, what is it? And it was a massive thing, hovering, still, but hovering up from the ground. Like that. And it went from there, metallic grey it was. I'm looking for something that's metallic grey. And I haven't got it. It was darker than, say, that. It was, it wasn't as bright as that, but it was darker than that. Metal. Well, whatever it was. Solid it was. I'll just say it was solid. And there was a clear blue sky. These people later said it was 350 foot in diameter. It was huge. Huge. And it was 3/4 of a mile away, because I'm useless at estimating distance and size and everything. And it was gone. We watched it for 6 minutes. And as we were watching it, no one said a word, and it was gone from there. We were looking down at it, by the way. It was like in a valley. Why do I say like? It was in a valley. And it went from there to there, vertical, straight line, gone. Into the blue yonder in 2 seconds. And I questioned everything about the world, about religion, about everything. And Toscana says to Bella, Georgia Maloney wants that Hamas has nothing to do with it. And I agree with that. And Hamas has nothing to do with it. And on that note, Anthony, see you tomorrow.
Okay, dear friend. See you tomorrow.
Just want to thank these Gap Painting Services who are sponsoring the Frank Carlyle show. Please get them in. These are fully time server lads, fully insured, 5-star rating customer service, and even customer references on request. Very reasonable. If you're an elderly couple, get them in. Special discount. NHS worker, get them in. Special discount. That's Gap Painting Services. And with that, we thank Jason, but most importantly, who do we thank? Anthony.
Our absolutely incredible chat family. Thank you one and all for joining us and your observations and your direction. Always, always the biggest important thing of a show.
They are the most important, because if they weren't here, and do you know what I like about it? The faster taught us, he stayed with us.
Yeah.
He stays with us.
Yeah.
He stays with us. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
People just go, I ban people, as you know, from things. One lad who's always on my football show, even as a guest, he said to me, Netanyahu is misunderstood. And what he said within that sentence, he's misunderstood. He must have believed in genocide going on. He must have believed it. Misunderstood. I got rid of him right away. I just said, fuck off, I don't want to know. And on that wonderful note, Anthony, I'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock. And hopefully our wonderful chatters. Thank you, chatters. And I'll still say me 2 prayers for you tonight. Thank you. Good night, Anthony.
Good night, Frank. See you
tomorrow. Do you mind if I ring you, Anthony?
What's that, Frank?
Do you mind if I ring you?
No, not at all.
Okay, I'm going to make a cup of tea. Honestly, I'll be right away. I'm going to make a cup of tea. Yeah. And I'll be drinking my tea talking to you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So it'll be within the next half hour.
That's great, Frank.
You're not going to fall asleep on me, are you?
Not in half an hour. Maybe 35 minutes. I might be solid gone. But you know me, Frank. No.
Oh, look, Bella says, I know, Franco. She didn't. Do you really think she would? Who? Georgia. Georgia sent a battleship. I don't know. Honestly, I could be getting it wrong. And Johan says, Faster Tortoise said he didn't like echo chambers. Guess a Liverpool chat with a United fan is the anti-echo chamber that has stayed with us.
Oh.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely? Oh, cheers, Johan. Cheers, everybody. Hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow night, Anthony and myself. And I promise it'll just be pure, unadulterated history of literature. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Good night. And as our wonderful Italians would say, ci vediamo. A domani. Sera. Ciao. Ciao tutti.